those who have been or currently are in the foster care system, what do you wish people knew? Just don't be a dick. Don't get rid of their personal belongings without speaking to them. Sometimes a ratty shirt or a torn up backpack is all they have left of home. A lot of foster youth have experienced trauma that may or may not affect their behaviors, which is something you have to acknowledge and understand. When a kid does something that seems to make little sense, analyze their actions and try to determine what is going on, rather than jumping to the conclusion that the kid is bad or that they are trying to upset you. Additionally, speaking of bad kids, when working with multiple kids, don't idolize one and speak poorly of the others. And don't make assumptions. I was a good kid. I didn't get into trouble and was quiet and got good grades. When I was older, however, they struggled to find a placement. Once I interviewed for a home, the social worker just brought me to a house to meet the family, but when the family met me, they flat out said, openly, that I couldn't live there because, as a foster youth, I would clearly try to seduce their son, 15, 16-ish, despite the fact that I was 12, I think, and had no history of acting out sexually. When I did get placements, because I was good, the foster parent/s would often speak poorly about the other children to me or around me. When they had guests, they would claim themselves martyrs of the bad kids while putting me on a pedestal. While they may have thought they were helping me or raising my confidence, it did not help me trust them, and certainly didn't help the kids they bitched about. Edit, TBF. A lot of foster kids act out sexually, even from a young age, due to abuse, or due to seeing sexual attraction as a form of love, and reaching out for anything. Edit, another edit, just to thank you all for your support and the almost complete kindness and respect in this thread. I also want to mention a family that truly sticks in my head, because I love them, and the memory of them, and want someone else to know of their goodness, and want to bring more happiness to this thread. I stayed with a respite care family when my foster family went on vacation, and these people were the bomb. They were older, lived in a wonderful relaxing place, and were sensitive to my quirks to the point where I did not feel scared or apprehensive after the first day. I don't remember their names, but wish I could. But they told me they couldn't take in foster kids anymore. They were quite old, but every weekend they took in a new respite kid, and that they focused on kids that they thought needed more care. I was a young teen, so they probably knew it was hard for me to find a placement. So they had me for a few days, and they took me to the store to buy me foods I liked, and took me to a historical site and let me near their pets. A lot of my families must have heard horror stories of abusive foster youth, and wouldn't let me near their pets or kids, and just nourished me for the few days I was there. When I left, they told me I could call them if I ever felt unsafe in my placement, which I regret never doing. Point is, there are good foster care providers. There are good people. And they were a few of them. I was in foster care from when I was 3 until I was 7. Whenever I talk to people about it, they always immediately assume it was terrible. But it really wasn't. For one thing, I was moved between 5 or 6 different houses in that time. And only one of them was actually terrible. The rest of the households were really loving. They generally accepted me as part of the family, and although it was hard to get used to at first, over time it felt like they were my family. Foster parents are unbelievably nice people. The fact that they were so willing to bring these kids they've never met before in and treat them like family is mind-blowing. Most of the families even let my mom come see us, so that way we wouldn't feel bad. Edit, sorry about not being able to reply to all of you. The reason we were moved around so much was because my older sisters were teenage drug addicts who started fights with a lot of the siblings and parents. That's the most I've been able to gather, because my parents won't tell me anymore. Again, I was moved around a majority of the time from when I was 3 to 5. After that, they separated us at the 5th house, and that's where I remained until I was 7. I was moved again for about 2 months, but I don't know why. After those 2 months, I was reunited with my mom, although it took a few more years before my dad came back. My husband and I were set to foster. We had done the classes, home study, everything. However, I was diagnosed with cancer, and we were unable to complete. We were then denied when we reapplied when I was in remission. I was able to join an organization that partners with foster teens who are aging out of the system to provide mentoring services. I'm in hours and I help with resumes, interview prep, job seeking, etc. I'm also just an adult who is available to listen. There are ways to support the foster system if you are unable to foster a child. I'm so grateful that I'm allowed this opportunity.